Share Shootout brought to you by Lion of Africa Insurance, insuring South Africa's future.
Welcome back to Share Shootout. You're watching CNBC Africa, first in business worldwide. Before the break, Francois and Mark both gave us two of their share picks. We have a look at them. Francois Joubert, Calgro M3, residential property developer, mass market, up to about 250,000 Rand. Those are the houses they build, government subsidies. Big thumbs up, but with a cautionary tale that the construction sector is fraught with difficulties. Be warned about that. Keaton Energy, though, please, says Mark Ingham, laughing he was at Francois Joubert's pick of Keaton Energy. Francois did acknowledge that there may be a bit of downside in the months to come, but he does believe that this is a long-term growth story, trading at 50% of NAV. He likes it from that perspective. Mark Ingham, Illovo Sugar. Francois likes it. The electricity story, 10% of its profits last year came from generating electricity and selling it onto the Swaziland grid. That's a nice tale to tell. I'm going to hook myself up to an Illovo sugar mill fairly soon. And then Master Drilling, it was laughed at almost as much, of course, as Mark Ingham laughed at Keaton Energy. So let's go into the last picks this evening. You didn't see the laughing, but he was laughing inside. But we're not going to do your pick yet, Mark Ingham. We're going to go to Francois first in this part of the round, to Zeder, investment holding company, Stellenbosch based, coming out of the PSG stable. Your 30-second start.
I think one of the first things with Zeder is you've got Jannie Mouton managing it. It's more agricultural holdings company. They've got Cape Agri, Cape Span. They've got Cape Vin Holdings, which they've just sold 800 million cash in their bank account. Then a big growth story into Africa with Trencor Africa, which they've got 1,500 hectares of farmland under irrigation, working towards 10,000, so that's massive growth coming in there. And they also bought a company supplying seeds.
Where they're supplying seeds to?
Basically, they're supplying seeds into all of these agricultural holdings across South Africa and Africa.
All right. Zeder is a tough one to shoot down. I'm looking forward to seeing how you do it, Mark.
That's interesting. Low visibility on earnings. So it's a great PR story, and the agricultural theme I don't contest at all. In fact, the agricultural theme in Africa certainly, I think, has legs for it. But this is low visibility, and therefore its predictability is extremely poor.
Plus, but you just need to explain what you mean by low visibility and how that affects then predictability.
Yeah, it's a company that's not great on sort of disclosing information on what they're actually up to. They're also multifaceted, so you've got a double edge there too, which compounds the prospective risk for the investor, and that's why I prefer to go for a purer play, where you get good visibility, excellent disclosure, and there's therefore some line of sight. So on that basis alone, I would shoot it down.
But when you look, and for people who have absolutely no investing experience at all, if you had gone and simply backed the Ruperts 30 years ago, you would have made lots of money. You might have made some money out of the Oppenheimers too. You might make some money out of Jannie Mouton. Certainly, if you supported Jannie Mouton 16 years ago, 17 years ago when PSG listed, you would have made a lot of money out of very little money. Is this not got Jannie Mouton's magic stamp all over it?
It may well, but also, for every one that succeeds, there's probably 9 that haven't. And if this is one in the stable that doesn't, well, so be it. But I have to be prudent. So from my own PA, I can maybe make a different decision. But from a prudency point of view, even though you do take high risk considerations into account from time to time, this doesn't fit the criteria that I would tick.
I'm hearing the bolt action of a Mauser being cocked and a bullet going into the chamber, and you're shooting it down.
On that consideration, absolutely.
Okay. Just a lack of visibility of earnings. If there was more clarity in the reporting, you might look at it differently. You like the theme. Agriculture is good. Jannie Mouton is good. The lack of visibility in Zeder is what counts against it. Kaboom. It's gone. It's over. It's gone. It's over. We don't play games here on Share Shootout. Right, last one for you, Mark Ingham. It's one that's been picked on the show before. It is probably one of the top 3 performers on the JSE this year, which makes me nervous because it's run really hard. Container business Trencor, 30 seconds.
Okay, the owner of this business has high recurring income. 80% of the fleet is fixed out long term. 45% of the world container fleet is in fact leased now and growing because of caution concerns. Nonetheless, world trade grows at a multiple of world GDP, and that's continued through the global financial crisis. Been doing this for many decades, very strong value proposition, and they will continue to grow into that fleet because of the current sort of customer demand.
Okay, 30 seconds. Francois, you can't possibly shoot down one of the year's best performers.
Well, I definitely think Trencor is a great business. It's a very nice value company if you're a value investor, which I am, so I do like it. As Bruce has pointed out, it's gone up a lot this year. So I think the traditional discount I'd like buying at isn't necessarily there anymore. But
you can't shoot it
given
down.
that, I still wouldn't advise somebody not to buy it. So yeah, I can't go against that.
He's so Afrikaans. You've got like a double negative in there, so he confuses us.
Yeah.
So basically, you would like to shoot it down because you want.
I probably wouldn't buy at this price. I'd want to wait for a pullback, but I can't
is there
go
going to be a
against
pullback?
That's the question.
The trouble is,
you'll probably never get it.
It's a little bit like Famous Brands has always been too
Exactly.
expensive. Trencor's one of those that's likely to be too expensive in perpetuity. So you acknowledge that you can't actually shoot it down.
Yes.
So he's accepted 2 of your shares, which makes it really interesting because that is the first time ever in the history of the show that one of the competitors has been forced to acknowledge that his rival has got superior stocks, which makes it kind of easy for me today. I'm actually quite relieved. Usually it's really quite difficult to make this decision. But when I look at what we have done this evening, and I look at Mark Ingham's Illovo, Master Drilling and Trencor, some very courageous picks, and he's having to get increasingly courageous as he wins every week. And then I look at Francois Joubert's Calgro, great pick, Keaton and Zeder. Quite like Zeder myself, but he didn't, and he's the one who does the shooting. I'm afraid, Francois Joubert from FSP Invest, you're shot down. You're out. You have to go. Goodbye. And off he goes. Maybe it's the papal shoes. Maybe it's simply his superior stock picking ability. But certainly it is a very convincing victory this evening for Mark Ingham, whose Illovo sugar pick was taken with both hands. It was welcomed and accepted very strongly. Master Drilling, however, very cynical about Master Drilling. It's a little bit too new, a little bit too fresh, perhaps a little bit too opportunistic. But Trencor, the container business, global business, 13 billion market cap. It has run how far this year?
It's up about 60-odd%.
60-odd%.
And it's still cheap.
It is still cheap. Is it trading at a multiple of 13 times? And
Forward less.
And forward less, yes, okay, but we look at historical because I don't have the technology to give me a forward PE. What's the forward PE on it?
It's about 10 because of the earnings growth coming through. Yeah.
Earnings growth is coming through on Trencor. So therefore, Mark Ingham gets 2 of his shares picked this evening, which makes him a very clear winner. Join us next time to see what shoes he wears and what sort of snazzy gear he comes up with. His shirt even matches his red shoes. So he wins a year's supply of paperclips, and once we find Francois Joubert out in the ether to wherever he has been assigned, we will ask him to pay for those paperclips. We'll be hosting another edition of Share Shootout next week, Tuesday, here on CNBC Africa. Catch me on Twitter and give me your Share Shootout suggestions and your thoughts on @BoostBusiness. Until next time, do continue watching, and as we go through and pick winners, and we shoot out viciously without any remorse the rest. Good night.